Hello everybody, welcome again to the Hero Talks podcast. My name is Bart.
My name's Adam.
I'm Polish native speaker and today we are gonna talk about what are you glad to give.
Yeah, what are you glad to give? So, in the context of what are you glad to give, it could mean many things. But in today's lesson and conversation, we're talking about charitable things, sociable charitable things. We're talking about passing things around in church. So, in the context of giving time, giving patience, giving way to somebody, what giving things in general, like adding to somebody else, giving something, that's going to be the context. So we'll start with just some basic questions. Bart, I think, wants to ask me a couple of questions.
Yeah. So I will start with think about last time when you give something to somebody.
So that's a big question. So like, think about a time when I give something to somebody.
I mean, you can mention some special thing, time.
Yeah, definitely. So like when I give something to somebody, and not the meaning behind that, just when I give some. So I give people my time. So let's talk about like a random act about something. So when I've given, so if I see someone struggling with their shopping in the supermarket, I carry it for them. I was on a plane yesterday. I came back from vacation. The older lady in front of me was struggling to carry her case on a plane. So you just, excuse me, grab the case, carry it to the top. Thank you very much. Deal finished. Nothing involved. It's free. There you go.
Yeah, so that was really kind behavior.
I always act like this. So because when I'm old, which will definitely happen to all of us one day, we're born, we get old, we die. I'm hoping some strong young person will.
But you are 20 right now, so.
Oh yeah, 20 times 2 minus 4. So yeah, so I'm hoping someone, like, my back's not going to last forever and my strength's not going to last forever. So I'm hoping someone looks and helps me one day.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing it for that reason. It just feels normal to actually offer your hand to help someone. That's why. So when's the last time? We'll keep it basic to start with, and we're going to delve, you would say, go deeper as we go through the lesson on motivations and all this kind of stuff. But so on a basic level, when's the last time you helped someone with somebody?
I would say that I have similar example as you said right now because I'm traveling a lot by trains, and a lot of times I just give give the seat to somebody else.
Yeah, so you stand up and say, "Please, do you want to sit here?"
Yeah, exactly.
Very nice.
Also, I help with the luggage if somebody has to put it to the.
So you're in the train carriage where there's a couple of people.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to go up like this,
but there is no space between the knees, and that's why I offer.
And it's heavy, and they're quite high actually in trains sometimes.
Yeah.
I think.
And the funniest thing is that if the smaller, the hugest baggage he has.
All the time. Yeah, so they take their whole possessions with them. Yeah. It's like when you see and this is not sexist at all, but it's just something I've picked up on. You see someone go on a holiday, like my father, for instance. He'll go on a holiday, and he goes to somewhere for 2 weeks. He takes a bag and some t-shirts and shorts, whereas my mother, for example, she'd take 40 kilograms of luggage and probably wear half of it and bring 10 kilos extra luggage home. So I think men and women travel a little bit differently, and also smaller people seem to take more things with them for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, exactly.
I've noticed that.
So that's the example that I thought about. For sure, I've helped to my family members if they ask me for something.
Yeah. So another question would be things like donations. So you see people doing like charitable donations, whether it's in churches, whether it's on the street, rattle the money, or not specific things again, but like donating. So that can be financial things, it can be clothing, it can be food. So like you have food banks, clothes banks, you have charitable donations for certain causes with money. How do you donate? Do you give to charity, or do you do it in other ways?
Depends. To the charity, not too much. I'm only sending some money if somebody who I know need the help and ask me, or somebody who knows somebody. I mean, like 3 connections, something like this. And also, if somebody asks me in the street to buy him food.
You would do that, yeah.
Yeah, in the case of food, in the case of alcohol, depends on my mood. Last time, one guy asked me if I give him 2 zloty. It's Polish it is Polish currency. I give him because I had a good mood, but sometimes I don't.
But you would say, I will buy you food if you want some
Yeah,
food.
in a case of, but he asked me because he wants a beer, and
okay.
I said, okay, go ahead.
Just do it.
Yeah, I did, but not all the times. But in a case of food, I always buy. I have like situation that somebody asked me in Krakow train station that he had no food, so I go to the local shop. I bought him bread with
Some meat.
tomato and
nice.
some meat in the metal.
That's
I don't
nice.
know how to
That's nice.
call
Yeah.
it.
So is that customary in Poland? I know English people can be you would say an English person, a lot of them wear their heart on their sleeve, which is an idiom for saying you're very sensitive and it's on show a lot. But I've noticed in Poland, like sometimes people don't even smile at each other in the street, and they're not very friendly at first appearance. Not when you get to know them. So is it customary for Polish people to just give things randomly like that, or would you say it's not very common in Poland? Because in England, it's like people would give you their last pound sometimes. You know what I mean?
Depends.
Depends on the person.
There is no rule for it, I would say.
So there's no overlying rule.
Yeah.
So
If somebody, sometimes people are asking, people just ignore and go straight
Fair
on,
enough.
and sometimes.
So it depends. It's personal.
Yeah,
it's personal. It depends on who you.
Yeah, but it happens. I mean, I got a lot of situations that somebody asked me to buy something to eat.
Okay. Yeah, I don't get that so much. You see, I don't get that so much.
Yeah, because probably people don't know how to speak to you.
Yeah, true. But they don't know I'm English.
So they you don't have like first introduction.
Yeah, maybe I don't look. Maybe I just eye contact. I think eye contact can start a conversation sometimes, and a lot of the time I'm just focused on where I'm going. But I think if I look, every time I have looked, people try and get your attention. Then, so maybe it's the eye contact.
I have one funny situation that I can mention. Also in the train station in Krakow. One, I would say that was the homeless guy. Asked me, I had a train in 5 minutes, so I was kind of busy, and he asked me to buy something in restaurant because he's hungry, and I go with him to the restaurant, and I wanted to buy him something cheaper, but he chose something like 50 zloty. I was no, I won't buy you something like this. Personally, I'm not buying a thing for myself, and I will choose cheapest one.
€10 meal.
Yeah, I will.
Some burger.
More, yeah, and I bought him like żurek.
That's probably more nutritious.
Yeah.
You have the egg and all the meat.
Yeah, for 20 zloty.
And it's a good meal,
it is. But I mean, the fun fact was that he asked me for the
most expensive
thing.
Well, maybe he's a homeless person with good taste. He has a good taste. Exactly. He might have been a chef in his personal life. You don't know.
Maybe, but
another question quickly. So we're just covering little quick topics. We'll move on in a second about volunteering time. So, like, do you volunteer your time anyway? So we're talking about giving money, really, or giving food. What about your time?
I used to. I did because I was in a local in a village where I lived. Now I'm not living in this village, and that's why I was in a local firefighters.
Okay, you would say a firefighter on retention.
Yes,
which means you have to live so many kilometers to the station. You have to be there within a couple of minutes, and you're connected on the phone all the time, and you're like in the background if they need you, type of thing. It's called a retention. It's retention or firefighting.
Yeah, I mean there is every firefighter is volunteer.
Yeah, it's almost a volunteer. Yeah, it's the same in the UK. Yeah. But you couldn't do it in a station in Krakow, for example, because it would take you too long to get there. But if you did it here, you could.
I mean, depends on what kind of the volunteer. If somebody asks me to help, I'm sometimes doing something for free. Nothing wrong with
why
that.
not? You're doing something with your dad, you said.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah.
So you're helping him with the project or something.
Yeah.
That's normal. That's your time.
Yeah.
But some people don't do
that.
But
I don't see it like volunteer. It's like normal behavior.
No, but it's not normal. It's not normal for some people. Yeah. Most people, yeah. Some people know. Time is very valuable for some people. And I suppose it depends on the relationship you have with the
I mean,
people.
yeah, exactly.
If you don't want to help, you don't want to help. You know what I mean? So
Time is valuable, but depends.
it all depends. As for me, for time, I'm always giving people time, whether it's in the gym and I'm trying to help them with their boxing or their fitness or some marathon advice or some nutritional advice. You should probably charge money for that. But when I was offered advice growing up and as a teenager and as a young adult, it was free. So it's just a boomerang type of system. What goes around comes around. And someone helped me once, so I feel like I should help someone once. And, I feel better for it. But we're going to move on to that soon now. On the next part, it's a little bit lower down. And it's about motivations for helping. Like, what are personal motivations for why people do what they do when they help people. So, like, for example, you're at like a church or something like this, for example. I know Polish is a very religious country, church, and they pass the cup or they pass the dish around. So you would say collecting money. What is the motivations, in your opinion, not the exact opinion, for collecting money? Why do people do it? What's it for? And things like this.
You mean, for example, in church?
Yeah, but so you pass the cup round and you say, "Oh, thank you. Next person, thank you. And they go around and there's 20s.
What is motivation? My motivation, why I'm
What's your
giving them?
motivation to not just listen to the priest, put your hand in your pocket from your hard-earned money from your job, put your money inside there and give it to someone else? Why do you do it? What's the motivation? What's the outlook on this?
Okay, but do you consider to... have you thought about the people who are staying, for example, next to the shops and they are asking for money because something has some disability and they are...
Exactly. So this is what I mean. What my initial question on this little topic is, do you put money in those things in the church?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes because...
If you have it, if you've only got 50 zloty in your pocket, you're not going to take some coins out and change your money. But if you have a 5 or a 1 or a 2, you put it in. But why? You don't know where this money goes. It could go to the church.
Yes.
It could go to a local charity.
I mean, that's the risk that which you are taking.
Does it go in his petrol tank? The priest's petrol tank? Probably not. Does it go to a local disabled person? Probably. Does it go to a charity? Yes. So, but why do you do it? What's the act for?
So, depends, I would say, in 2 ways.
Okay.
So, first one is that I'm not doing it all the time.
Okay.
And why I will explain later. But second is that when I have some coins, I don't like coins.
Fair enough.
That's the reason, honest reason.
Okay.
But come back to the first topic. When I was in the secondary school, my friends wanted to earn some money. Okay. And they got the offer that they can go to the Krakow, be like a charity guys. They got a full pension. I mean, normal money for working per whole day. Yeah. And rest of it comes to the charity. So they were volunteer,
but paid volunteer.
Paid volunteer, and
that a lot of charities are like this.
Yes.
And also, when you give, you can also ask.
And most of the charity are not registered.
Yeah, and what percentage of this, like 100 out of 100, how many units go to the director, CEO, to the staff? Does it only have 5% going to the charity? Because a lot of these charity bosses, CEOs, have Range Rovers and big cars.
Yeah, yes, exactly, and that's
you put their money in their fuel.
That's why I am thinking twice when somebody asks me for things like that.
But I'm just
motivational. But for example, if there is somebody from the area where I live, and people are sharing in the Facebook, in the local advertisement,
just giving, and all this.
So I know that there in the place next to, in the place where I live, there is a person like that.
It's instant.
Yes,
from you.
I'm giving.
Yeah, and I think, but also it operates like that with the homeless people. You're not giving it to a consortium, a group of homeless people. You're giving it to this guy or lady. Yeah. Or to the dog with the kid. You're giving it to the exact thing. Exactly. It's you to them. It's a two-way street. Whereas if you just put it in a pot, you don't know where it goes.
Exactly. Anybody can
do it.
budget with the name and surname, fake name and surname.
I've once had not an argument, you would say, but a disagreement with someone once. They have a charity in the UK called Help the Heroes. Fantastic charity. It's like world known, one of the best charities for helping armed forces, like injured families, people with PTSD, loads of issues. It's like endless. It's a really good charity. But sometimes you get people collecting for sub-organisations. I'm not going to name who they are, but not Help the Heroes. They're fantastic. But other smaller ones, which you said might not be registered, they might even be registered. And they have army uniforms on, but it's just like combat uniforms. There's no ranking. There's combat uniforms on. They're shaking the bucket in the UK when you go past, and they're saying, help injured soldiers, help injured soldiers. So I asked this guy, were you a soldier? I wanted to know. And he says, no, I'm not a soldier. So, number one, if I wanted to help soldiers, I'd become a soldier. If I was fighting age, I'd join the army if I want to help soldiers in the army. That's the best way to help the army. Secondly, do you get paid for this job? He got paid quite a decent amount of money. He got paid like £200 or £300 a week to do that job. More than he would get paid in a similar level job doing something else, like catering or in a hotel. And so he's in uniform, kind of. He's shaking the bucket and he's asking for money. And I asked about the percentages, and he couldn't tell me any statistics on where the money goes.
Yeah.
So I chose not to give him the money. And as I walked away from him down the street, he shouted like, "Oh, so you don't want to help injured soldiers?" So that could be. So he was also like aggressively marketing this thing. So you have to be careful of charities like this. So yeah, putting random things, random act of kindness in something is not the best option sometimes. You need to know where it goes.
Yeah.
So very good that you do that. What about a different thing as well? So we've talked about like your motivation to do that. What's your motivation with, so not sharing financial gains, knowledge, for example?
So it depends on...
It doesn't cost you anything, but it costs you time perhaps, or it costs you thought process. So what about that?
Also depends. Depends to who, depends when, in which situation. Let's say,
I've got a good
example.
example for you.
I have one in the gym, for example. Yeah?
Okay.
I train a couple years already. I know a lot of things.
You know stuff?
Yeah. So if I see somebody who is like 15 and started doing something,
just like you were one time.
Yes, exactly. I see that somebody is doing the exercise in wrong way and he can be injured. I just go to this guy and say, don't do it in that way. Do it in this
way.
Yeah.
Nice.
I try to give like quick advice. I not behave like personal trainer. I won't stay 1 hour with somebody and explain the things, but I make like quick tip and that's it.
And if they follow, it's up to them.
Yeah.
And also like...
But most of them just follow because they have no... They have no experience.
And also Bart works in the IT sector, you would say, so he's super into computers and everything connected to them. So imagine a young person in college, and I know you've done talks like that, haven't you? You've done public speaking.
Yeah, I have.
So think about young people that aspire to be a programmer. I think you'd give more time to those sort of people. So even though you said in the gym you wouldn't give the full session and the personal trainer, but you've donated your time to speak publicly once or a couple of times to groups of people. So what about that?
So I can mention also that I had once situation that I spoke to the around 60 people in the secondary school.
That's a lot.
And I spoke to them with my friend because we are in the industry. Okay. And the reason was that when we were in their ages, we had no contacts with somebody from IT industry, and that was
who is there living at that place at the moment.
Yeah, and that was really valuable because people are learning things and they have no idea how the industry works, how everything this works, and we just wanted to highlight them how it works, what we are doing, how our day look like, and
how long did that take to prepare to do it?
How long
to arrive there, to travel home? If you were to put it into hours of everything, how many hours?
I mean, it took me, I would say, whole day with the preparation. Because
24 hours.
Yeah,
for free,
so-
and it's your time.
Yeah, but we divided to the preparing time, speak with my friend what we can talk about, then prepare and the
everything. So-
presentation, just then just talk, speak to them.
So you've definitely shared your time.
Yeah,
you know.
but that was kind of the mission for me that I wanted to do, and
Well, that's the whole
also
point.
that was a really interesting experience. So if somebody has possibility to do something like this, I really recommend.
Just like this podcast.
Yeah.
So it's personal development.
Yeah.
So I'm hopefully helping you guys that listen to it speak English a little bit better. And it's an interesting topic and you learn something. Bart's improving his English. I also learn new Polish words all the time, but I'm not going to tell you what they are just yet. Not because I don't know what they are, just because I don't want to offend anyone. And I'm learning all the best words first, let's say. So, yeah, it's. I think there's personal development side of things, so that comes into motivations and things like that. So, last question for me before you can ask me some questions. So, like, we'll talk about a random act of kindness now. So, like, we've talked about giving money, giving it thoughtfully, giving time, planning things. What about a random act of kindness? Like, have you ever done? There's a complete random act. It can be anything, little, large, time consuming, not time consuming. When have you done something randomly to help someone, to promote well-being, to help, to be positive? A random act of kindness, you would say.
Probably a lot things like that.
Many, many things.
But
big and small.
from the basic ones, when somebody is looking for the job and I work with the guy, for example, I'm reading a recommendation in LinkedIn, for example.
Fair enough. Yeah, you pass him on to somebody else, so you're
try
delegating.
to share the things if somebody needs help. I mean, that's the thing that we can do.
So you delegated to first. You said, "I'm not the exact person to help you, but I know someone who can," and then you pass them on to them. So you've had a thought and thought, "I'll help," and then Dave had to do something.
Yeah.
Have you done anything else like buying things, doing things, spending time? Like when have you? So you talk about you give you a seat on the train.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that with people shopping in the supermarket. So.
So I can say that when somebody has less products than me, I ask to go.
You tell them to go to. You can go in front of me.
In front of me, yeah.
Yeah, and they always look really surprised because I think it's not very common anymore. That, but if they have two
I
items,
mean, no, it is.
I don't see it. I've never had that done to myself. No one has ever done that for me. I don't know why.
So
I don't expect it.
A lot of situations.
It's happened to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had it to me. So like, I don't know why.
Start buying from the internet to go to the shop.
yeah, that's a good one. Don't be a hermit living inside your house.
How somebody can give you a place in a regular?
if you don't leave your house, how do you expect someone to give a random act when you don't know anybody? I have no friends. Like this phone, this camera that recorded this. And Bart is my only friend. Like I don't leave the house.
I'm AI.
Yeah, this body is not actually mine. I'm actually a head from 50 years ago, and this is all a computer simulation. But yeah, a random act for me is paying for things. Sometimes I like to do that. I think it's interesting, and people always seem really glad of it. Obviously, you have to select the right people, but who is the right person, I suppose. But yeah, I've done that before. I've also lent. So this is a strange one. So usually when people ask for something, it's because they need it, or because they can't afford something, or they're just down on their luck. But I've once lent money to someone who was very wealthy just because they needed money at that exact time, and they said they'd pay me back, and they did. But you wouldn't think you'd have to lend money to someone in that way, but it's like literally they forgot something and you had to buy something. It was really expensive.
Depends on how much.
It was quite expensive, but they've given it you back just when they can. But to them, it wasn't a big expense. To you, it nearly cleared your bank account out. But to them, it wasn't expensive. They'd just buy it.
What was that?
It's just an expensive item. Just an expensive item one time. And they paid me back, but for me it was like, whoa, I have nothing left now. I have nearly nothing left. But for them, it's just a transaction. But so they didn't understand the value to me. But I just did it, and they gave me back, and very nice. So it was like that's an unusual angle to be giving somebody for free. Also, another like random acts is like what you said, doing personal things like moving for people, giving people your seats. I think that's the better one. So like, it doesn't cost anything. It emanates from inside, and it emanates from thank you, please, no thanks, yes, please, from manners, from a manner system, and also from respect. Like, I've never seen it in person. I've seen it on video, but young people talking down to older people, I don't like that. So like, it's not your job because you're 15 to give some old guy some rubbish because he's old guy. You should have respect for these people. As long as they're not, their behaviour is correct, you should have respect for them. But respect your elders, that's like, that's a random act of kindness in itself, because it's another idiom, it goes without saying. You should do that. It should be inbuilt into you to be a bit respectful, more patient. So even though you're not directly giving them something, you're providing a place for them to, like a safe place, if you know what I mean. So you give an old guy patience when he's pulling out of the supermarket in his car. He's not as fast as you in his mind. So you don't need to beat the horn and be mean to him. You can think, I'll just slow down, but because he doesn't know anymore. So that's a random act, but he doesn't even know it.
You remind me something. In the street, I'm doing this kind of acts. When somebody have problem to join to the main road, I just
you can go because it would be nice if you got that treatment. I do that.
I would say that I'm not nervous driver. I know a lot of, but I don't know from where it comes from.
You just feel relaxed in the car.
I have music, I have podcasts.
Practice.
And I don't understand why people are so frustrated in the cars. If somebody will shut inside the car, nothing will change. The traffic won't change. Nothing will change. Just keep calm, wait for your turn.
I think Bart's a secret Englishman, because English people are very chilled out in the car normally. Whereas Polish people tend to be quite stressed. Beep, beep, beep. They make good use of the horn. And the lights is a good one. So you're going 140 kilometres on the motorway, the limit, and there's always someone wanting to do 141 behind you or faster. So it's just one of those things. But so let's go a little bit deeper again, whether it's from personal experiences or what you've heard or seen. So what do you think about, so we're talking about acts, things you do direct. What about doing things further away? So I'll give you an example, like sponsoring a family in a different country. So a really poor family in Nigeria, for example, you want to send 200 euros per month to them out of your salary to provide a better life for them, which can cover everything for them. Would that be something you would look at in the future? Something you do? Do you don't agree with it? What do you think?
Honestly,
Nigeria is a very rich country, but any place supporting someone.
It is really hard to think about it, because there is a lot of places that you can send some money and
you could spend all your money.
And first thing first, depends of my income.
Okay.
And I would say that I can spend some, I wouldn't say how much, but some percentage of my income to some things like that. But probably I wouldn't look that far, as you said, like near Nigeria. I will try to help somebody in our local places. There is a lot of people who don't have too much money. Started from the kids who don't have money to buy ball or something like this.
And things.
Sometimes buying a ball, buying a shoes to some.
So for you, it sounds like it's more that you can have a handle on it and something you can see changing. Whereas I wouldn't have a problem with sending money further, and it'd be cool to visit because I like travelling. So it'd be cool to visit them and see how it's making an impact. And I think it'd be just interesting. It's probably something I'll do in the future, but I don't know where and I don't know how. So again, you'd need to look at that, but I don't know how it will go.
Already I'm not planning to do something like this. I would say depends of the income.
It all depends on the future. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if you add, I don't know, for most European people, like 100 euros per month. You could do that, and that's a big thing for some people. That could change.
I would say that probably I will change my mind when I will meet them personally. because normally like I can send some money for somebody, but I'm not so sure if the money come to them, how they live, who are
they.
they.
So you give them the money. That's the best way. Yeah. Or personal banks, things like this. But and you get a feel. You would say you get a feel for the people. But there's many people that need help. Do you know what I mean? There's many people that need help. And I think in life it's important that you never look down on anybody. So I mean, not physically looking down at someone, but like emotionally.
In your case, it's impossible.
Yeah, I'm 2 meters too, and I always look down on people. So I sound like a bad person. Maybe that's why no one lets me in the supermarket queue. They're just like, he looks down on everyone. It's like, well, who else can I look up at? You know what I mean? They must be very big if I look up at someone. I've once met a guy from Mongolia, actually, a strange country, I looked up at. And I remember I shook his hand, and I've got quite large, thick hands and wrists. And I shook his hand, and I remember his whole thumb and finger wrapped around my hand and overlapped. They overlapped. And I was like, whoa, I feel like a small kid. And he was like 150 kilos and like 2.5 meters. Oh. And he was a boxer, and he was huge. And I just remember like, whoa, I was blown away. But maybe I do that to people, but I'm like, maybe that's why they don't let me in the queue and they're not nice to me or something. I don't know. But interesting. So I think we can wrap it up with so we've talked about what we give. Just to change the topic a little bit, what have you received in life? What's your personal experiences like? What's the best 3 things in your life
that I receive?
Yeah, and not gifts as such. You can use them if it's come from a warm place. Like someone gave you your first laptop to go college with. That's a nice thing. But it's not a Christmas gift, I'm thinking more like, what have you received off people that's really enabled you to do things in life?
I would say that I received a lot of things, but to mention point
3. You're allowed 3. And it can be anything. Manners, time, money, things like this. Anything.
Advices when I had bad times, I would say. That's really interesting.
From friends or family?
Family.
So family advice.
Friends also.
Friends and family advice.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an important
I mean,
one.
that mentally sometimes people boost me when I don't believe on or the things that I want or something like this. What else? It's really hard to say.
It is hard to say, but I'd wait for you to finish. So for me, also advice. I think that's been a big one. And like you would say, backing. So it means like people are in my corner, which also means people fight for me. People believe in me, even when I don't believe in myself. So people having belief in you and giving you advice from things that they can see that you're going to do, but you haven't done them yet. But they believe that you can do it, so then you do achieve it. So like belief from people, I think, and advice to achieve those beliefs. So I'm very similar to you that way. And then when you see it, because you need to sometimes see things to believe things, you think, oh, they were right actually after all. And then you advise people on things like that, and it's just a boomerang again.
I would say that work ethic.
Work ethic, okay.
Also
from family again. Yeah. So these are from family structures, a lot of them. You've learned a lot from your family.
Yeah. Basically, you live half of the life.
Yeah, true. True. For me, the second one would be, I've had like different sporting experiences in my life, and what I've learned from previous trainers, not about physical training, for example, that also, but mindset on things. Like mindset and areas that I've learned and coping mechanisms that I've learned from other people, they've really helped me in professional world. Like being strong-minded, dedicated, why dedication always beats motivation. There's interesting topics to talk about. That's another lesson in itself, but what I've picked up on trainers, not just physicalities and psychology. Last one. So we talked about family, structure, what you've learned from family, anything else? And give me a small one to wrap it up. Like, you give your seat free to people on a train, what do people give to you? What have you received from someone in that context?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's...
They say a thank you goes a long way.
Yeah.
I think it does.
So that's the
manners. So someone's noticed that you helped them and thought, thank you.
Well, last time I had a situation that I fell asleep in train and some random lady woke up me when we arrived to the station, so I can mention this.
Fair enough.
So thank
the
you.
the train from Krakow to here.
Yeah.
So
No, different way.
going the other way.
Yeah.
So you would have ended up in where's the furthest destination? Because you would end up on the border of Ukraine otherwise.
No, I would say train stopped in Krakow.
Okay. Because if you miss it, if you fall asleep going the other way, you end up near Ukraine actually.
No,
you end up really far away.
When I miss it, probably I will go back to the
then you have to wait and go all the way back again.
Yeah.
I know someone who fell asleep coming back and they ended up on the border near Szczecin or somewhere, Szczecin, on the border, and then they had a few beers to wake up again, and then fell asleep on the way back, and then they're back in Krakow again. So they missed it going out, and then they missed it going out, and they spent like 16 hours on the train, just like drunk, going forward and back. It's quite a funny story, but like, yeah, that's quite funny. I think you hope that people wake you up. I think for me also, random things like last time I was on vacation recently in Morocco, I was telling you about the tea. And I was just pointing out to one of my friends, a guest who I was showing around there, how Moroccan people pour their tea. And like the way they create the bubbles in the tea, why they create the bubbles in the tea. And I was just giving her a bit of A to Z of why they do it this way, because I've learnt it from a Moroccan person myself. And the guy just stood up, he noticed us, which I didn't, and he came over and he gave us a pot of tea each. And I thought it was really nice of him. He didn't have to do that. We're just tourists in his eyes. And he said, "Oh, you're welcome," in Arabic. And we said, "Thank you, shukran." And we took the tea. And I thought it was really nice of him. So that was a random act from someone. And it makes you actually feel a bit better. You think, there is decent people in the world out there. So, yeah, I think that's the lesson pretty much wrapped up.
Yeah.
It was more about personal experiences, what you do for others, motivations behind that, and what you've received yourself. And you would call it food for thought. And, you're thinking about experiential things, and it can create a lot of interesting questions. So if you've got any questions at the bottom, or you can share any interesting or funny things that have happened to you in the past, write them down, and we'll be interested to read them.
Yeah, exactly. We would love to write it.
Yeah. And
I think that we can end up here.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention that Adam is an English teacher, and he have 3 slots.
Me? Who me? I am. Yes.
Adam.
I am an English teacher. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I forgot what I did then. But,
so he can teach you.
I can teach you English.
Everything basically.
Yeah, pretty much, from exam preparation, Polish exam structure, European
English.
framework education. There's business English. There's lots of things. AdamsEnglishSchool.com. Contact me via that website.
Everything will be described down below in the description with the details. So
always
go
happy
ahead
to
and
help.
check this out.
Yeah.
And see you in the next podcast. Thank you for today. Bye.
See you later.